All right, good morning, and welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one guy knows what banter means, and the other two are just along for the ride. My name is Eli Whitney, and I'm joined today by my friend Isaac Stevens. Isaac, say what's up.
What's up?
We are lucky enough to have the 2025 Arizona Fall League Relief Pitcher of the Year, Cade Denton, joining us today. Cade, how you doing, my man?
What's up, man? I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Before we jump into any questions, you've obviously had some pretty big changes in your off the field life since the last time we spoke. Most notably, you got married, just recently celebrated your 1 year anniversary. So just wanted to take the opportunity to extend some congratulations from our family here at Blake Street Banter to you and yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And like you
Yeah,
said, a lot of changes.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we got to talk to you a little bit pretty much right after you got drafted back in July of 2023. And at that point, you were kind of deciding between being a starter and a reliever, exactly what your path was going to look like. And, you know, you're 2 years into pro ball now. How do you kind of reflect on that decision now? And how do you feel about the path that you've taken?
No, I mean, like you said, whenever I got drafted, it was kind of a who knows what's going to happen situation. Some teams wanted me to start, some teams wanted me to stay in the bullpen, and I didn't know what the Rockies necessarily wanted until it was time to sign the contract. So I've been happy with my decision to stay in the pen. It's worked out really well for me. Um, I did get some extended outings in the fall league, though. I made 3 or 4 appearances, longer than any appearance I made in season. So three and a third inning appearances. So stuff could stretch out and stuff could change with new management and new directors and stuff. But I've been happy with my decision, and if that's something that they want to change on down the road, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did the Rockies ever have conversations with you about like being more of like a long relief guy? Since you kind of had that role throwing 3 and a thirds in the fall league, was that ever with the Rockies?
I mean, we talked about it with former pitching director Flint Wallace when he was our pitching coach in the fall league, and he had mentioned like efficiency is the biggest factor of being a bullpen arm is being able to go out there, shut it down, and be available the next day. But if it comes down to it, you need to throw longer, you need to throw more innings, and you're throwing it efficiently. It makes it better to where you're available sooner, and you can throw longer more often. And wasn't necessarily something that we talked about switching to long relief or being long relief or anything like that. But definitely during the season, we had talked about you know getting in that closer role and trying to fill those shoes. When Wellington Herrera was called up to Double A, it was one of the roles that I had to take on. Me and Davis Palermo both, and trying to work from that. Whatever the organization asks of me is, I'm never going to say no, necessarily speaking. If that's something that they want me to do and they feel like that's where I can be, that I'll do everything I can to be there.
Right. And kind of staying on the topic of innings a little bit, last season was you threw the most innings that you've thrown since you've become a pro. Obviously, we dealt with some of the shoulder injuries early in 24. Can you kind of walk me through that injury or kind of the rehab process and what that was like for you, just having to deal with that sort of adversity so early on in your career?
Yeah, I mean, lucky enough for me, it wasn't necessarily anything that was hurt or injured, which was the good thing. It was purely shoulder instability stuff. I came through my first spring training, ready to go, rearing to go. Maybe had neglected shoulder programs and stuff like that throughout my years, just from being, one of those flexible guys. Got blessed with the ability to stay loose and limber, and maybe not necessarily taking advantage of the strengthening aspect of it. So I came into my first spring training full force, ready to go. Just had some issues with some stability in the shoulder. Nothing that hindered me in my development along the line, but definitely needed some improvement there before I made it out to full season ball. And haven't had any issues since, which has been good. Velo was solid all year. Velo in the fall league ticked up from where it was in the season, so I was super happy with how the training staff, Justin Wilson with the Spokane Indians, and my fall league trainer was able to do a lot to help me maintain that program throughout my past few years in pro ball.
Yeah, and I kind of want to jump back into the fall league. The first thing I'm curious about is how did you find out that they were going to have you play in the fall league?
Yeah, so I was in Eugene, Oregon at one of our series there with Spokane, and I got a call from Chris Forbes, and he was like, "Hey, like we have interest in having you play in the fall league. Is that something you'd be interested in?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk to my family, agent, all that stuff, make sure that we're all good to go. There's no no things that me and my wife had planned big or things that I couldn't miss that I forgot about." And once we cleared that all up, I called him back, told him super excited to go play and ready to go show what I have.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more kind of about that experience? Obviously, you found a lot of success, as we mentioned earlier, but the AFL is known a little bit for experimentation. Was there a specific pitch or adjustment you wanted to make? And also, I'd seen you mention in past interviews that you were kind of picking the brains of some guys from other organizations that have had major league experience. I believe you mentioned Dre Jameson. So just kind of if you could tell us more about that whole experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a place to for pitchers especially to kind of experiment a little bit. You played against a certain level of talent. A lot of these guys have played double A and triple A baseball, and like you said, some with big league experience. I was one of the few that just had high A experience. So going into it, it was kind of like what can I do here? What's gonna work? What's not gonna work? And try and toy with some things just to try and see what plays and what doesn't. And going into it, started out, just the normal stuff, same pitch arsenal that I had in season. Worked out, had one, not so good outing. That was the only downside of the fall was that one outing. But a grand slam's a grand slam. You can't really avoid 4 runs when it goes over the fence. So there's only so much you can do about that. And getting into the rest of the fall league, I started toying with a cutter a little bit. I had toyed with it, in spring training in the past throughout the season, not necessarily throwing it in games, but just messing around with it, seeing what works and what doesn't. And threw it in the fall league. It was a good pitch, not something that like I intend on being my number one pitch anytime soon, but definitely something that as you go to higher levels and guys start playing the percentages, having another pitch definitely makes it a 1 in 4 chance of them guessing what you're throwing instead of a 1 in 3. So it's always a good thing to have, and I think it'll help me in my career, especially moving up in levels.
Right. And that's interesting too, because went back to the first podcast you did, and you were talking about how you were still looking to add a third pitch to your arsenal. And I always think it's interesting how pitchers always have to like develop, like adapt or change things, tweak things. On like there's a website called Prospect Savant where they have savant data. And since you were in the Arizona Fall League, like we were able to access like your numbers there, and like
Hmm.
it's fun. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you go about like that cutter? Like, was that something that you just wanted to toy around with, and then you're like, oh, this is pretty good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had like I said, I had thrown it in spring training a few times. I had thrown it in the lab that we have in Scottsdale at our spring training facility, and it was a good pitch. It just wasn't something that I thought at the time was like my main focus. I thought I had work on the splitter to do before I even toyed with the concept of a fourth pitch, and I still have room to grow in the splitter. And again, another thing that kind of isn't a big adjustment going into the fall league. You throw with big league baseballs, and that's a new thing for me. And trying to figure out how stuff plays with these balls as opposed to minor league balls, and trying to figure out what's going to play against higher level hitters. And once I got the splitter kind of down this past year, still something that I have room to grow on. I was like, man, okay, I think with the big jump of maybe moving from high A to double A and the jumps after that, I think now is the time that I have a place to work on. You're not necessarily caring about your stats in the fall league, like obviously you are, but it's a place that you kind of just want to prove to people that you can play at a high level and you can play against high level talent. And I feel like this is the place that if you're going to work on something against live hitters, and especially the best of the best, this is the place to do it. If it works, then it really does work. And if it doesn't, then you can scrap it and have the whole off season to work on something else. So still have room to grow in that aspect, but everything you learn everything from experience, and that was the best place that I felt like I could get experience throwing it.
And for those who aren't familiar, can you talk a little bit about the difference between those minor league balls and the major league balls and what that adjustment may look like?
Yeah, so the biggest difference that you're going to see is the big league balls are more tightly wrapped and wound. So everything on there is more round. The ball wants to travel further. The ball gets takes more to get compressed, which means that when a guy really squares a ball up, it's going to go even further. But with the laces being more tightly wrapped, there's a bigger space in between the laces. So right to left movement is going to increase a lot for a lot of guys. So like breaking balls, sweepers, that's like curveballs, that sort of stuff. They're going to move more. Fastballs with vert are going to grab more, but stuff like splitters where you're trying to kill spin on everything. If you throw it the right way, you can kill a lot of spin. So like my splitter with minor league balls, getting a little bit into the savant data here. My splitter with minor league balls sat at 1,300 RPMs throughout the whole season, and with the big league balls, it was sitting around 600 or 700 RPMs. The movement profile changed. It was a completely different pitch, and it was a better pitch. So it's one of those things that like I could even work on stuff with the minor league ball, knowing that like with the big league ball, it's going to be different. So it's almost like trying to be prepared for when that change happens, if that change happens. And the fall league was a good place for me to finally figure that stuff out. And a lot of guys, like I said, I picked the brains of a couple big leaguers about what it is that they noticed a difference on with the big league balls and their pitch arsenals. And that was obviously playing at elevation. There's even a different aspect that you have to consider, and that's where you talk to your directors and you talk to your head coaches because they all know that stuff. And just picking the brains of as many people as you can is about the only way to learn nowadays. So that was definitely a big factor.
Right. And the Arizona Fall League is a great place to do that. You're surrounded by a lot of top prospects, and then like a former or an MLB player was on your team as well. How cool is it to like be in like it's pretty much like a futures game, but as like a mini series or like a season kind of. How cool is that to be around?
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean, we sent a really good prospect lineup ourselves with Jared Thomas, Charlie Condon, Braylon Wimmer. I mean, Wellington Herrera, Austin Smith, Ben Shields. I mean, Mahoney. I mean, you send all these guys there. Like as a player in the organization, all these dudes are real. They're the real deal. And then seeing that other teams are sending their top guys, and Max Muncy for the A's being another big leaguer, and Dre Jameson and Luis Perales being a 40-man guy that just got traded 1-for-1 in a deal with the Nationals. Like these guys are the real deal, and like getting to watch that every day is definitely amazing. And obviously the team chemistry when you first get there isn't necessarily the biggest strong point. So throughout the season you build and bond as a team, and you get better and better as the season goes on. And you see some of these dudes. I mean, I felt like for the first month I didn't see a home run under 430 feet. It was unbelievable just to like watch these dudes hit the ball. And it's Merlin Valdez. He was a guy that was with the Pirates, and watching him hit 8 home runs in the span of maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and like that stuff is unbelievable, and it's really cool to see. And now realizing that these are the dudes that are every one of these dudes that you see is going to be in the big leagues, like that just makes it even cooler, knowing that when you get to the big leagues you're facing that guy 1 through 9 every time. You're not facing some dude that he's borderline big leaguer. The borderline big leaguers are still the best players in the game, so getting to see those guys is really exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was kind of curious, and you've talked a little bit about this just through your experience in Arizona, but over the last 2 years, again, when we talked to you the first time, you were yet to play a professional game. What do you think is one of the most important or some of the most important things that you've learned in your time as a professional, what it means to be a professional every day, whether that comes from approach or recovery, or what do you think are some of the most important things that you've learned over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I'll give the media answer is just to stay consistent, in everything you do. Stay consistent in recovery, stay consistent in strengthening everything, stay consistent in working on your pitch arsenal, stay consistent in catch play. I mean, it's all repetitiveness. This is a game in the big leagues. It's 162 games. If you cannot repeat something, you're gonna fail. You have so much time and room for error that you just need to be able to repeat the same thing over and over and over again to be successful. So coming from college, I mean, you're playing 3 games a weekend and playing on Tuesdays, and the rest of the time is spent practicing. If you set yourself up for success, you're setting yourself up to be able to repeat something over and over and over again. And in pro ball, there's no practices. It's purely you're there before the game, you play catch, you throw off the mound. The game is that day. There's no time to work on something outside of the game. The game is every day. So being able to be repeatable, be consistent, and just be combining both of those things together to give yourself the best chance of success is the biggest thing that I've found.
Yeah, I think that is pretty neat. Oh, what was it? In the Arizona Fall League, this is not a question, but you were teammates with someone named Isaac Stevens from the Red Sox. And I think that's pretty funny. My name is Isaac Stevens with a V, and so we saw that, and I was wondering if him and I are really similar people, or if it's just a coincidence that we have similar names.
Yeah, ironically enough, I knew him before pro ball even. We played against each other. He was at Oklahoma State University and I was at ORU, so we played each other every year of our college careers, at least twice a year. And then playing him in the regional my junior year. He's a really good guy. He's out here in Oklahoma City area, and we'll see each other a couple times during the off season, I'm sure. But my wife and his wife became good friends out there in the fall league, and he's a great guy. And from what I've drawn from you in the few meetings that we've had, you're a great guy as well, and from the other banter sessions that I've seen. So I'd say pretty similar there.
That's awesome.
It's a win for Isaac right there.
There you go.
Both Isaacs, I guess. So I wanted to ask a little bit, in college you were stopper of the year. You talked a little bit about how this year you spent some time in that closer role. And when you're getting ready for those high leverage moments in those situations, what do you kind of do to prepare mentally? Like, do you have any routines or superstitions or tics or anything like that? Or what is that like for you? What is that process like?
Yeah, I mean, those are the toughest parts of the game. I mean, starters may disagree that the first inning of the game may be the toughest, and it could be, but I mean, you go into the eighth, ninth inning, these dudes they've already had 3 or 4 at bats up to this point, so they're locked in, they're ready. And if they're not locked in, you really know it. You've seen it, and you know where you can take advantage of them and what you can do to get them out. But those guys that are locked in, you've seen 4 at bats, you've seen maybe 3 different results that could have come from a high fastball, low fastball, outside slider. They're hitting everything. You just got to be ready to expose weaknesses in those times from the guys that are struggling and use your best stuff against the guys that are succeeding. So a lot of self affirmation whenever I'm out in the bullpen is like telling myself, like, I got this. Like, this is like, your stuff's good. This is what's going to play. It always plays. And sometimes it doesn't. And that's just the reality of baseball. But as a pitcher, we succeed more than we fail. That's our job. As a hitter, I know that they're going to fail more than they succeed. So just like putting that positive mindset in my mind going in there and knowing that, like, I have the better odds here. My stuff's better than his swing. And just like telling myself that and knowing that it's true and going out there. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But being able to tell yourself that every time and going out there and giving it everything you have, whether you succeed or you fail, you gave it everything you had. And it just either was your day or it wasn't your day. And a majority of the time, I want it to be my day. But just learning from your mistakes, learning from wins, and learning from everything in between is about the best way to set yourself up mentally and physically for the next outing.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, do you do your own scouting for like opposing hitters? Because especially in like the high A for Spokane, like you face the same teams quite a bit across the season. So like if you know a guy has a really long swing, are you going to want to challenge him like inside with the fastball, or is that a game plan that the Rockies or like catchers have, or do you do it yourself?
Yeah, it's a team effort. We have analytics guys that sit there, and that's their job, is to sit there and watch the other team, learn everything they can from it, give you the percentages, give you the numbers, give you where stuff succeeds, where it fails. But at the same time, as a player, I mean, everyone always just imagines the life of a baseball player is 3 hours at the game, maybe an hour or two before, but we're at the field at 12 o'clock for a 6 o'clock game. You know, we're there. So there's a lot of downtime that we get to sit there, and whether it be have fun with everybody or doing your scouting report. At least the start of the week, I'll go through and I'll look through a couple of the guys that like I know have been succeeding the previous weeks and try and figure out what it is that they've been hunting or what it is that's been working for them, and trying to figure out how to expose the opposite of that in a way. You know, if like you said, if a dude has a long swing and he's standing close to the plate, obviously you're going to want to go inside. If he's got a long swing but he's really far off the plate, he's looking for that inside. You know, he's giving himself an opportunity to cheat for an inside fastball. So you want to attack that outer half and make sure that he knows that you're dominating that half of the plate. So he's going to want to have to scoot up. He's not going to change his swing. His swing is his swing for that day. You know, that's something that's really tough for a guy to change. So just showing them that you know what they're struggling with, and you know what they're not able to do is a real mind game battle, especially, you know. So if you execute your pitches most of the time, you're getting in the mind of a hitter in a way that benefits you and later at bats, especially like for starters and stuff. You really just want to attack what a dude's struggling with, and it really is the mental warfare game there.
Yeah, and along with the analytics and all that kind of stuff, obviously your relationship with your catcher is something that's going to matter too. The last time that we talked to you, you mentioned that Ben McCabe was somebody that you'd had some experience with going all the way back to the Northwoods League in 2021, I believe it was. And I just wanted to ask, you know, how valuable is it to have a catcher with that sort of long-term rapport and built-in trust? And what has that been like for you, just continuing to develop that over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, playing with him in 2021, we had limited time together, but we definitely got to know each other enough to, you know, chit chat whenever we found out we got drafted by the same team. It was pretty cool. And he started in Double A this year for an injured Drew Romo, I believe it might have been. He or whoever it was, but he was there to start the year. He moved down to High A, and it was a good time getting to see him again. And you know, unfortunate for him, but it's just one of those things that just happens. You go as a catcher, especially, you need catchers at every level, and having him down there was a breath of fresh air. You know, I love the guy. He's a really good guy, a great bullpen personality, and definitely a good locker room personality. But he calls a really good game. He knows my stuff. He knows everybody's stuff. He knows the hitters personally. A lot of the times, it's almost like he can tell you their first, middle, and last name and their home address if you really asked him about it.
Yeah.
But he knows everything that he needs to know, and he gives us the information that we need to know. He doesn't overload us with anything crazy. You know, catchers are the generals of the field, and they know just about everything that every player on the field needs to know, and gives us the information we need, and it benefits us a lot. And he's a really good guy behind the plate to have.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, Cade, something that very few people know about me is that when the summer rolls around, I am actually a diehard Wausau Woodchucks fan. Uh, spent a lot of summers as a camp counselor in the Northwoods of Wisconsin and Rhinelander, and on our days off, actually starting in 2021 and ever since, we load up the car and get out to Athletic Park and
There you
spent
go.
a lot of time there. So I probably got to watch you pitch once or twice and didn't even realize it. So a cool little full circle for you there.
Absolutely. The cheese curds are the best, aren't they?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All right, Cade. Infield Hits has a question. He asks, what is your favorite Northwest League city to play in? He used to go to a lot of Aqua Sox games, so he always wondered what the players are like there.
I'll tell you this straight up. It's not Tri-Cities. That's one that I can definitely knock off the list immediately. I'd say I really enjoyed just the aspect of playing in Everett. I mean, the field itself, facilities for players are not great. Excluding that, being in Everett, there's a whole bunch of restaurants within walking distance. You're in downtown Everett. There's the Funko Pop headquarters store, which I don't know if you guys know what those are. They're little like die cast figurines of like comic book characters, movie characters, that sort of thing. And the headquarters is there, so we all go and we all check out all the stuff that they have in there. We'll probably walk out with one or two when we go. And then Seattle's within 40 minutes, so we've had a few series there where whether it be Memorial Day or Labor Day, whatever it was, where we play and we have an off day there, and we'll head down to Seattle, go check everything out. Been to the Space Needle a few times now, been to, Pike's Market, all that stuff. So I'd definitely say Everett's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. I think if Eli has one more fun question to ask you, we'll do that, and then we'll send you packing.
Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, we can do. Should we do? What do you think, Isaac? Should we revisit some trivia from last time, or should we just go with a fun question?
Cade, are you down to do two separate things real quick?
Yeah, that's fine.
Keep it quick for you. All right, for a fun one, what's like the craziest one night promo or jersey rebrand that you've ever been a part of across your time in the minor leagues, or even let it be the Northwoods League?
This is a tough one. There's a lot of goofy ones. I'm a big fan of just the Fly Together program with Spokane, where they partner with the Air Force Base there, and we wear the really cool plain jerseys that we have. But I'd say one of the goofiest ones would have probably been when we do Fresno tacos for the Fresno Grizzlies. My first year out there, we had the vest jerseys. They had like the mesh vests with we had some dudes wearing no sleeves underneath. We had a couple guys wearing the long sleeve. It's an all black uniform with a taco on your hat. You can't not be silly on a day like that. So that's definitely one of the goofiest. And then we have some really good ones. The other teams have some really good ones too. Hartford's got the bouncing pickles, the steamed hamburgers, the thunder chickens, or whatever it is. So there's some funny ones to look forward to as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just one more thing for you before we let you go. Last time we had you on, Aaron kind of put you on the spot directly post-draft and asked you if you knew the members of the Blake Street Bombers. So 2 years after that, we are going to revisit and see if we can do any better.
I'm definitely going to do better.
Okay.
But it's not going to be good. I know for sure I can give you one, and that's all I can promise.
All right.
So the one that I know for sure, which is obviously his son's doing really well in the big leagues right now, is Dante Bichette. I can give you that one.
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
I see the pictures of them every time we walk through the facility. There's like a big framed portrait of them wearing Dwayne The Rock Johnson's outfit with the jeans, the black shirt, the gold chain, the sunglasses, and flip flops. But oh gosh, I know Dante.
One of them was inducted into the Hall of Fame as a Rocky a couple years back.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Give me the last name, and I can tell you the first name. That's about the way that I can get it to you.
All right. How about Walker?
Larry Walker, Dante Bichette.
There's a Castilla.
See, that's the one that I can never remember the name of. I see him up there because he's on the far left of the picture. So the way that it goes is it goes like Dante Bichette, Larry Walker, and then it has Castillo on the far left, and he's wearing like chocolate slippers with like some shorts and like sunglasses on. Oh gosh. So what was his name again?
Vinny
Castilla.
Vinny Castilla. Yep.
And then the other one or two, Aaron would call it two. But the one that's definitely inarguable would be Andres Galarraga.
Andres Galarraga. Golly. I played with him whenever I played the bigs growing up on the Wii. Andres Galarraga was a big one. A big character to play on that. Dang.
Yeah,
that's a big name too. That's not a small name to forget.
And then we've got Ellis Burks too. Was the other one that Aaron would have said last time.
Yeah, so Aaron's a big fan of him, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. But that's progress. We're getting better.
We're getting closer. Next time you have me on, I'll be ready.
There you go. Well, Cade, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Now, as a two-time friend of the pod, you know that we've always got your back here. You'll have our support always, and we appreciate you as always, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
All righty. I forgot how Aaron ends it.